We're live. I just got home from being a guest teacher in my grandson's TK classroom. I'm a little tired. Probably the best time to share with y'all some things that have been heavy on my heart. Thus, the wild hair. It was great. It was the best. I feel safe and I feel happy in a classroom. I think many of y'all know that I'm a retired principal, and so that is my, safe spot, and I think it's relevant to what I wanna talk about today. I wanna talk about why we buy courses, why we, do not start or finish courses, and why finishing doesn't necessarily mean implementing. Um, but before we talk about courses, I have to tell you, as women who, make art or have made art, who are not new to art, but not necessarily professional artists, there's nothing wrong with us. There's absolutely nothing wrong with us. And if you or we or like I, which I've done, you've bought courses and you didn't start or finish, or you finished and just never used it, it's not a character flaw. It is simply information. So let's talk about those three categories. First, why do we buy courses? Why do women like you and I buy online art courses or, in person where you travel and go to the studio and you gather with other women and there's an instructor? And it's not because we're chasing productivity. It's not because something, but it's really something because there's something inside of us that remembers who we are. We buy a course. I buy a course because we miss ourselves, because we miss how it felt to create without bracing. We want relief from that quiet ache of knowing that something really matters to us and feeling unable to reach it. Courses promise a bridge, a way back, a sense of structure when we feel scattered. We're not buying information. Most of us are not looking for more technique, even though I think on the surface we might say that that's what we're looking for. I think we're buying hope, and hope is not foolish; it's wise. So let's take a moment and ask ourselves, what were we hoping would be different when we clicked buy? That's a great question. I know, for me, what I was always looking when I clicked buy was a way to reconnect to myself, a way to reconnect to my art, a way to, thank you, a way to feel safe. It is an interesting topic, isn't it? Let's see, Muse, it is a very interesting topic, and I would love to hear what you have to say about it also. Um, anytime I have bought a course, and that's what I was looking for, hope. And I specifically bought Jean Oliver's in-person courses, um, which she doesn't do anymore, except she does them internationally, but in her home, in her studio, because what I was looking for was home. What I was looking for safety. And Jean Oliver is a master at creating that. And my friend Muse Spark just says, we miss doing something meaningful for ourselves. Yes. Yes, we do miss that because we spend a lot of time doing, meaningful things for others. So I agree, I think that's why we do it. And I would walk and I can remember when I always any chance I got, I went to Jean's studio in Colorado, in Castle Rock, and I would start to cry when I would walk in that studio is because I felt at home, I felt safe. So I think that's why we buy. We're buying hope. Now, why do we start classes or why do we not even start classes or not finish them? Remember, this is not a character flaw. There's nothing wrong with us. We're not broken. This is nothing to fix. However, this is really where shame enters. But so let's slow it down. This is where shame enters. Most courses are built for and designed, as an educator, I know that they are built for momentum. They're not built for tender. Could tell I've been talking to 5-year-olds. They're not built for tenderness. They assume we have space, energy, emotional availability, trust in ourselves, and already feel safe. But that's not true for many of us. Many of us do not have that. So when a course asks us to show up confident, visible, consistent, decisive, our nervous system may quietly say, I don't think so. This does not feel safe right now. So we slow down, we distract, we wait, we watch. Thank you. I agree with that. As Muse says, most don't. They do not provide that safety. And hi, Lucy. I'm just talking about I was talking about Gene and out of our comfort zone. That's right. And as a content creator and course creator myself, we don't think about that providing a space for comfort zone. We're creating, hello, my friend, Lucy, we're creating content. We are not thinking about safety. We assume that you're going to show up confident, visible, consistent, and decisive. And that's not always the case for many of us. So let's slow down. When that doesn't happen, we get distracted, we wait. And it's not because we're unmotivated, and it's not because we are not wise. It's just real life got in the mix. Caregiving, especially. I talk to a lot of women who miss their art and can't struggle to get back because of the load and the pain and the stress of caregiving. Also, mental load, grief, transitions, invisible labor. Courses ask for linear progress. And if you're like me, we live in waves. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. So when the course is designed for linear and we're not living linear, that guilt shows up and we shut down. And shame makes a big entrance and makes it feel like it's impossible. So we don't start or we don't finish the course. So a good question, because I'm a coach and I'm all about asking questions. Before I ask that, I want to say what Muse said, I mean, most people don't assume all these qualities of confidence. I don't think anyone does. I really don't. Not at the same time, not if you're human. However, many courses, especially art courses, are written for that, at making that assumption. And many women, I won't say all women, but most women, for sure, many women are not because we're doing life and we're human. So if you're not starting and if you're not finishing courses, a question I love to ask is, what did our lives actually look like when we thought we would do this course? What did it look like? And I'm talking about online. I'm not talking about in person like at Jean's, where I drop to my knees and kiss the ground and feel so safe and so grateful to be there because Jean was masterful. You do not have to show up confident, consistent, or in good shape at all to have the experience. And that is what, having learned from her, that is what I hope to create and model in the online environment. Okay, so my third piece or third thing to talk about is why do we finish courses? We buckle through, but we don't implement anything that we learned. And this is the part I don't think anyone talks about, where we finish courses, but we don't implement. In Muse, I buy courses when I've had like one day to myself, and then I feel that might go on long enough to do a course. Interesting. So I would be curious as to what was going on for you, Muse, when you had one day to yourself, but what was going on in your outside world? Were you able to engage with a linear course, which is most of them? All right, so finishing a course is intellectual. Yes, Muse just mentioned real. Real life intervenes. We think we have a day to do the course, and then real life shows up. Because now I want to talk about, say you do power through and finish the course. Finishing a course is intellectual. Implementing is emotional. It's relational. It's about the relationship. Implementation means stepping out of learning and into being seen, heard, choosing, risking, allowing our lives to change. But if when we're in fight or flight or run, freeze, fight or flight, if we're in any of those, we're not going to be able to make choices, take risk, or allow our lives to change because we're in an instinctual hot nervous system. But anyway, even when we're calm and we have a day to ourselves, it can feel very scary that we're being asked to change. We're being asked to take risks. So implementation asks questions like, what if this changes how others see us? And that's a biggie. What if this changes how others see us? What if we disappoint someone? What if we succeed and our dream comes through, this huge desire, and our lives need to rearrange? What if we fail and it hurts? That's when so many of us pause here, and not because we're confused, but because we're standing on a threshold. And no one taught us how to cross that threshold gently. So we wait, we gather, we tell ourselves we'll come back later. This is not failure. This is just a form of protection. So let's ask ourselves, what feels tender? What actually using what we learned, what would that look like? These are great questions. Courses can give us information. They cannot give us safety. They are not designed for that, unless you're Jean Oliver. They cannot teach our nervous system that it's okay to stay. They cannot teach us how not to abandon ourselves when things feel messy. That work is slower. That kind of work is slower, kinder. It's about a relationship. And when we sense that implementing will require becoming someone new, someone less pleasing, someone more honest, we hesitate. That hesitation is not weakness. It is an edge. It's the edge. So what if nothing has gone wrong? What if unfinished courses are not evidence of failure, but evidence of discernment? What if our changing our minds not flakiness, but self-respect, self-love? What if returning later is the wisdom? Growth is not linear, creativity is not efficient, and trust and safety cannot be rushed. So, in closing, we don't need more, my dear, dear friends, we don't need more motivation. We need safety. We need to feel safe. We implement when the steps are small, when leaving does not mean failure, when returning is allowed without shame. This is why gentleness works. This is why 5 minutes count. This is why relationships come before results. If this resonates, I want you to know you're not behind. I'm listening. And this is where the real way back begins. And I'll be sharing more about that, I'll be sharing more about that. But right now, I just wanted to reach out after a full day of teaching 5-year-olds. Hello, Jacqueline. And do any of you have more comments or questions? Yes, those 5 minutes add up. And it's also a way of tricking our nervous system because thank you. I love what you've been saying, Muse Spark. I love what you've been saying also. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to DM me or throw it in the message as I've come to the end, literally, I've run out of energy. But what a great day. My happy spot is in a classroom. My happy spot is doing this and helping women like myself who may have thought there was something wrong with them because a teacher told them that or a course didn't work out. And I'm just here to say, dear one, there is nothing wrong with you. All right. Until next time, make art, be happy, no pressure, and thanks for listening and being here.